Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people. And Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny from Relentless and Unstoppable, and once again we have Disney director Brad Raymond with us talking about his directing of Pocahontas II, Journey to a New World. How you doing?
Great, Doug. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on again. So before we get to this, share people a bit about your recent business ventures at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I have a site called www.onepagescreenplay.com, and it's everything that I learned when I was at Disney, working with the amazing storytellers at Disney and at Pixar. And what it is it's every single detail that goes into great screenplays, how to write a great screenplay, all on one page. So you can have it like a map. It's like this visual template. And I tested it against some of the greatest movies of all time, Academy Award-winning movies, classic movies in the modern era, and older movies, and they all fit. So it's just a template that it's like a checklist of when the characters are introduced, what the main character needs to go through, the things they need to learn, and it covers every single page. It's every single page of the entire screenplay. It's not big chunks of knowledge. And I use it when I collaborate with other writers, and they're blown away by it. It took me 10 years to create this. So I have a site that's going to have live videos from me and of all my colleagues and different executives and producers that will be on the site. And it's going to be really, really inexpensive so that everybody can enjoy it.
That's amazing. Good on you, man. So everybody, just a side note, Brad is from Colorado like me, and he achieved what many people, probably countless people, dream about, which is working for the Disney company. Although in his case, he worked for Disney Television, I believe, and worked on the Disney sequels that went straight to video rather than the theater. So how did that start, Brad?
Well, I started working my first job was at Dawn Bluth Studios. I did storyboards for Dawn, and I worked in Ireland. And then before they moved to Arizona, they went through a transition. So I moved back to the States and got a job doing storyboards at Disney TV, and then got to know everybody there. And so when this opportunity came up, I had known everybody and I interviewed for Pocahontas II, and it was actually called Disney Toon Studios. It was a different division than Disney TV. And this was my first job, and I ended up doing movies for them from somewhere around 1995 all the way through to something like 2014. I think there was a short stint that I started working at Warner Brothers, and I came back. So it was a great time. It was a big chunk of my professional life, and it was great memories.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And you said you did some work on the full Aladdin television show, right? With the stories and all that?
Yes, when I was there, I had started doing some shorts. It was called Marsupilami was the show. I did some short. They were short. Some they weren't like half-hour shows or hour-long shows. They're like a series of short ones. And that was my first storyboarding work at Disney TV. And then I went on to the Aladdin series, and that was amazing. That I loved the movie, and it was a real honor to be able to do storyboards in that show.
Yeah. Were you involved in every episode or just a handful?
Just a handful. We had a big team of storyboard artists, and it was one of my earlier storyboarding jobs. So I was actually more of an apprentice. Like that, I was mentored by some of their great established storyboard artists that have been there. Like Kurt Anderson is the one that was my mentor, and Kurt Anderson and I worked together on Lion King 1.5. Actually, he and his wife Vicky Anderson, who's another great storyboard artist. They worked with me on Lion King 1.5 later on, but he was my mentor. And he taught me a lot about storyboards when I was on the Aladdin series. So I was a sort of they would give me like little small chunks of the show, and I eventually got my own shows, but it wasn't every episode by no means, no.
Yeah. Did you come up with any characters in the show or no?
Nothing. I had besides the actual visualization of the storyboard, you read the screenplay and you come up with the shots. That was the only creative part of it. I didn't create anything as far as story or characters in that show at all.
I see. So everybody, I first heard of the Aladdin series when I was 10 years old, which is shocking knowing that I saw a lot of the Disney television shows like that involved in the movies like The Little Mermaid and then Disney's unsuccessful attempt allegedly at a Beauty and the Beast show that was later combined into uh Belle's Magical World, I think. And then there was also, I think, the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And, I somehow did not know that there was an Aladdin show as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and I did not know that. And so when I started, as I said previously, when I started looking into the show, I thought, man, Aladdin went through a lot to become the Sultan and encountered a lot of names that I didn't even know existed in the franchise.
Absolutely, it's true.
Yeah. My favorite episodes after watching the series, if I had to pick my favorite episodes, I would say it was the one where they first meet probably the worst antagonist since Jafar, Mosen Wrath, I think his name was, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I don't think I was part of that show. And it was a long time ago. It really was a long time ago. I don't remember them as well. Because you're just when you're doing storyboards, there's a different kind of hat you wear. You don't have to think about creating the story. Now you're just reading it and figuring out how the shots should play out, and also you have your director and your producer, with a vision of how they want you to do the show. It's not you creating the vision like when I'm a director. So it was really a different kind of mindset. And so I don't remember them as well. I was just following, my creators. His name was Alan Zaslov. He was my producer and director, and he was the one that I was following his direction. And of course, Kurt Anderson was helping me.
Yeah. So yeah, my favorite. Oh, what was that?
Early on in my career, so I was kind of learning and getting my kind of my feet wet.
Oh, dipping your feet in the water, as they say,
Yep.
So yeah, my favorite episodes of the Aladdin show has to be where they first meet Mosen Wrath, and then I would say it was the one where Abu briefly gets estranged from Aladdin and becomes a thief before coming back to Aladdin's side, And then I would say the other one is where the silly Inspector Clouseau-like thief, I think Amin was his name or something, how he uses Mosen Wrath's tricks to steal the Sultan, who's been turned into a statue, and was told by Mosen Wrath that the spell could only break if a griffin's claw was used on it. And Amin decides, in an attempt to stop the heroes, to become a griffin. Wasn't using his head, you know what I mean?
He wouldn't want to become a griffin because then his claw would be able to stop the curse. That's a good point.
Yeah, so when you have characters like that, it makes the show pretty entertaining,
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun to work on.
Yeah. So that leads to the next thing, which is when did you realize you were going to be hired to work on Pocahontas 2?
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.